to the 44th episode of the Echols Unlimited podcast. I'm your host, Terrence Echols. And before I get into anything today, I just wanted to first and foremost thank you so much for watching and listening to my most recent podcast, my podcast with Vincenzo Di Cristina, the professional chef from It's a Utica Thing and as many other places where he's worked. It was a great time. It was a great time to talk to him, be in the same environment with some of my close friends from childhood. And we had a great night. It was one of the best times I've ever had producing one of these podcasts. And thank you everyone for supporting, anyone who, tuned in on social media, who shared it, who watched it, who newly subscribed to the channel. I am truly thankful for you. At the end of the day, I couldn't do any of this without the people who support me, and this is just going to keep going. We're just going to keep growing and keep going to the point to where, this is one of the most popular podcasts on all the platforms, So thank you again for watching. Thank you again for listening. Thank you again for sharing and subscribing. I really appreciate it. So today I'm going to tell you about why the Sixers are better with Ben Simmons on the roster. As you can see, I have my Sixers shirt on. I'm a diehard Sixers fan. If you know me very well, I love everything about the team. I love the whole organization, and I support my Sixers through and through, no matter what. But before that, I would like to ask you that you please just take a moment to like this podcast. Please subscribe to the channel, subscribe on any other platform, the audio platforms. Just please support me. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So this podcast is rooted in positivity. Positivity is something that I feel like helps me survive. It gets me through every single day. It gets me through any adversity that I have to deal with. It gets me through pretty much everything. It's just, I focus on the positive. I want to be a positive person. I want to be a positive light in other people's lives. I want to be, a positive influence on people who are younger than me, older than me, doesn't matter. I love positivity, and I stress it in everything that I do, and I stress it in all of my conversations. So the problem that I have when people talk about Ben Simmons is they focus on the negative. They focus on the things that he's bad at. I don't see the reason why everyone always has to bring up the fact that he can't shoot when we know for a fact that he is a top 25 to 30 player in the league. He's a top tier passer, and he's a top 5 defender in the league as well. There's no debate about any of those sentences right there. You can't debate the fact that he's a top 30 player in the league, 30, 35, 25, doesn't matter where you have him ranked. He's in there. He's in the top tier, like the top 5 to 10% of players who play in the NBA. He's a top tier passer, and he's arguably the best defender in the league. So I don't see the point in when people talk about him and they like to discuss Ben Simmons and his future with the franchise and his future as an NBA player. They always bring up the fact that he can't shoot. Obviously, he's had some troubles with that. He's had some troubles offensively as a whole, but in particular, he's had trouble shooting. But imagine if people did that to you. Imagine you're a regular person. You're not an athlete. You're not an entertainer. You're just working a regular 9-to-5 job. Imagine you're a writer. Okay, how about this? Imagine you're a writer, and say you work for a bunch of different organizations. You watch a bunch of different media outlets, newspapers, magazines. No matter what, you're contributing to multiple places, multiple successful places. Keep that in mind. Very successful. You're doing very well. You've won awards. You've been credited on many different breaking articles and breaking news stories. You're a top tier writer. You're a top tier journalist. Imagine that you might have a bit of trouble interviewing. And interviewing people is a very, very important piece when it comes to journalism and writing. You have to be able to interview in order to be able to write a good article, but you get by without being good at that. You get by without being the best interviewer. You're still a top tier writer. Your articles are still some of the best. But the interviewing thing is something that's holding you back. You know, it's holding you back from your full potential. It's holding you back from furthering your career. It's holding you back. You know, you've seen a bunch of success. You've won awards. You've done this. You've done that, and just the fact that you can't interview very well is something that's holding you back. All right. So do you think if you're in that situation, you know, where you're winning awards, you're working for successful companies, you're one of the most respected members of the media in your respective city, do you think that public sentiment of you would be would be negative just because of the fact that you can't interview? Do you think that public sentiment of you would have people in the media and journalism industry calling you out and saying he shouldn't be here, calling for your job, calling for your resignation, saying that you shouldn't be here, you don't deserve this, you can't interview? No. You know, if we apply this to any other industry or any other job in, you know, modern American culture, we wouldn't be calling for the man's job just because he can't do one thing that's, you know, important, an important piece of the job, just because they can't do one thing very well. You know, we wouldn't really focus on that. We'd focus on, oh my gosh, look at all the awards this guy's won. Look at how well his team, look at how well his company has done. You know, we wouldn't really look at that. You know, that's obviously something that him personally, he or she should want to improve on. That's something that every, you know, competitive person would want to improve on. You'd want to improve on your weaknesses. You want to make yourself a better person, make yourself a better professional. That's obvious. That's blatant. People know that. People do that. Every single day, people work on themselves to try to make themselves better. So my question to, you know, a lot of people, and I talk about this a little bit on the podcast from time to time, is that why do we come so hard at athletes and entertainers for their shortcomings? Where if you work a regular job, if you're doing, you know, average American things, we don't necessarily stress the shortcomings that we as average Americans may have. I don't understand why a person like Ben Simmons has received so much scrutiny and so much hate and so much, like, things. People have resorted to, you know, as far as death threat. You know, people have resorted to calling for the man's job, saying the Sixers should just release him, trade him for less valuable players, like doing all this stuff that doesn't seem rational. It doesn't seem rational at all for an all-star caliber player who, might keep in mind, is 25 years old. He's 25. He's only 25. So I don't see, you know, Ben Simmons being a detriment to the team. Obviously, he has to work on stuff. Obviously, he has things to improve on. Obviously, he's going through some stuff that, you know, we have to get to the bottom of. And as a fan base, I believe that the Sixers organization and the people who support the Sixers should be behind him, build him up, and let him continue to grow. You know, let's look at the stats. Let's look at the stats and the accolades that Ben Simmons has accomplished before turning 25. Keep in mind, all this stuff happened from the time that he was, you know, maybe 19, 20 to the age of 24. Okay? Look at this. For his stats, he's averaged for his career 16 points a game, 8 rebounds a game, 8 assists per game, 2 steals per game, and 1 block per game. And I'm seeing memes on Twitter and Instagram and all over the place of people saying, oh, he'll be on the Shanghai Sharks next year. This man averaged 16, 8, 8, 2, and 1. Okay. If that's not enough, let's go into the accolades. He's a 3-time All-Star. He's a 1-time on All-NBA team. He's made the All-Rookie team. He's been Rookie of the Year. He's been 2 times named to the All-Defense team. And he's been the league's leader in steals. Okay? Judging by the fact that he's done all that before the age of 25, do you truly believe that this man doesn't deserve a spot on an NBA roster? if people truly believe that, I wouldn't really listen to them. If they truly believe that, oh my God, Ben Simmons, just because he struggled on this and that, doesn't deserve a spot in the NBA. Like, come on now. Give me a break. But mind you, that's just ridiculous. Keep in mind, the Sixers also made the playoffs every single year that he's been healthy. Okay? They've made 2 3 seeds, a 6 seeds, and this past season they were the 1 seed. Obviously the playoff exits have been upsetting, but don't forget last year he wasn't a part of the sweep against the Celtics. He missed that. He had the knee surgery. He had I forgot something happened to him. He got hurt. So also keep in mind that he didn't have an off season this past year. He didn't have an off season to where he would be comfortable enough to work on his jump shot and get to the point to where he'd be comfortable shooting it in games. Mind you, he still shot it a few times in games, and I mean this year I think he went like 2 for 6 or 2 for 8 from 3 in the regular season. Obviously, any guy in the NBA who only shoots 8 threes in a season, who's a primary ball handler, you would want him to shoot it a little bit more. But I don't look at that as terrible. I don't look at that as something that he's has no hope. I wouldn't say it's hopeless at all. I'd say I'd be pretty hopeful, and I just continue to support him like I keep saying. But at the same time, I don't want to make excuses for the guy. Obviously, he needs to improve. Obviously, he needs our support. Obviously, we've seen him be able to shoot the ball. It's not a matter of fact of him shooting. We've seen the off-season videos. We saw him in high school. We saw him in college making shots regularly, making jump shots regularly. It's what's going on in his mind. And as someone who has experienced, difficulty shooting and as a player myself, it's all in your mind. It's all about getting the reps up. You need to be able to get a lot of reps up in game situations at game speed, and you need to be able to train your mind to believe that every single shot you put up is going to go in. That is what I've taught myself. That is how I've been able to improve my shot personally, as someone who could barely shoot in high school, and I had trouble shooting in high school. And to the point to where, now I feel very comfortable as a shooter. I feel comfortable as a player. But you have to continue to work and grow and mold yourself into that person. It doesn't not happen overnight. It doesn't happen in a matter of 2 months. You need some time to yourself. You need some time to focus and realize that, you can do it. You are capable of being the player that you want to be. And I don't think we're doing that enough for Ben Simmons. It's so quickly, oh, he's a bad shooter. Ben Simmons is not that good. Ben Simmons is overrated because he can't shoot. Whereas, if you put Ben Simmons on any star player in the NBA, he's having a better night against them defensively than 95% of the league. You put Ben Simmons in a pick and roll situation with a great roll man like Joel Embiid, 9 times out of 10, he's going to make the right play. It's the little things. It's the basketball things, the little basketball things that you see in his game, to where you can understand that this guy's good. He's a really good player. He's a top tier player. He's a top 5 to 10% player in the league. So let's not be so quick to say, oh, he's playing for the Shanghai Sharks just because he passed it while he was under the basket. No, obviously this man is struggling. Let's not continue to dwell on it. Let's not continue to push the idea that he needs to leave. Okay? I mean, I did tweet earlier this year. I tweeted something along the lines of, if the Sixers do decide to trade Ben Simmons, he should go for a guy who's superior to him or a guy at his level. I've seen people say, oh, Sixers should trade him for Harrison Barnes or Andrew Wiggins or someone like that. And I'm just like, Harrison Barnes and Andrew Wiggins, great players. Solid role players on championship caliber teams, but they are not at the same level, nor are they the same quality player as Ben Simmons. And in my opinion, I think most trades should be conducted unless you're going to lose the guy for nothing. You should get something of equal or greater value than the guy you traded for. So I said either trade him for Damian Lillard, Zach LaVine, or Bradley Beal. 3 guys who I think, in my opinion, are superior to him and could, complement the Sixers in a great way. But if not, Don't trade him. Keep him. Hold on to him. Build him up. Make him stronger. Okay? Let's not be so quick to be like, yeah, there's no chance Ben Simmons is playing on the team. And I don't believe, the reports that people saying, oh, Ben is not answering people's calls. Ben is not reaching out to teammates. That is not like Ben's character. That is not like him. I don't believe that. I don't think that any of that is true. I just think that he's, working on himself, taking some time for himself. And there's nothing wrong for taking time for yourself to work on yourself. And that's exactly what he's doing. At the end of the day, Ben Simmons is a Philadelphia 76er as of now. So while he's a Philadelphia 76ers, while he's on the Philadelphia 76ers, let's support him. Let's build him up and hope that he can improve on his game, improve on his shot, improve offensively, improve his aggressiveness to the point to where he can help get the Sixers over the hump and back into the Eastern Conference Finals and the NBA Finals like Allen Iverson had them back in the day. I look forward to seeing the Sixers get there. I know that they will get there, and I know that he will become better for it. I just want to thank you for listening. This has been the 44th episode of the Echols Unlimited podcast. A quick episode today. Didn't really have a whole lot to talk about, but really just wanted to get this off my chest. I really wanted to, emphasize the fact that Ben Simmons is a great player. He's good. Okay, give him time. Let him develop. He's 25, okay? You can hold someone accountable while also being supportive of them. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You shouldn't have to just decide between supporting them and, being like, you should be better. Like, do that. I know it's hard to explain, but do that. Support them in a way to where you also hold them accountable for their shortcomings. I think if we do that a little bit more, spread a little bit more positivity, spread a little bit more love between us, at the end of the day, people are going to be happier, people are going to be more satisfied with their jobs, and people are going to be more productive. Thank you again for listening. This is Echols Unlimited Podcast, and I'm Terrence Echols. Peace.